Hey guys, Marshall Wilson here, your independent candidate for governor, and I'd like to discuss with you my thoughts on abortion. So, we've discussed before the concept that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. All men is a set of all individual human beings from the moment of conception to the moment of death. So if all men are endowed by their creator, not by the government, not by anyone else, but by their creator, with certain unalienable, in other words, it can't be taken away from them, certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, there is no right to abortion. It doesn't exist. There is no right to deprive someone else of the free exercise of their right to life. It doesn't matter how young they are, it doesn't matter how small they are, it doesn't matter how old they are, it doesn't matter how sick they are. No human being has the right to deprive another human being of those rights, or the free exercise of those rights. So it's really that simple. Now, the concept, the principle, is that simple, that each one of us intrinsically, because of our human existence, has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But where it becomes a little more complicated is in the execution. So what I'm getting at is the government exists for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to uphold and defend the individual natural rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, of each individual human being for whom that government is responsible. In other words, the citizens of that jurisdiction. So, in the exercise or the execution of that duty, the government must uphold and defend those rights, or it's an invalid government. It's really that simple. Now, what does that mean to us as a society, as individual human beings, as people who care about other people, as free people who need to look out for our neighbors? Well, what it means, what it comes down to is that no one has a right to deprive an unborn child or an older person. It doesn't matter how young you are, how small you are, it doesn't matter how old you are, how sick you are, no one has the right to deprive you of the free exercise of your rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, since we cannot do that, we have no right to deprive someone. What we as a society, not we as a government, but we as a society, we cannot conflate the two. We as a society owe to our neighbors is the opportunity to ensure that they uphold the rights of their children, of their grandparents, of whoever it is they might otherwise consider depriving of the free exercise of those rights. We as a society owe them the opportunity to do so. And what I mean by that is, if you go up to a young woman who is pregnant and is considering an abortion and you say, don't have an abortion, that's wrong. Well, you're half right. If our society allows it legally, then our society is wrong. But if I, as a member of this society, or if our government allows it, then our government is wrong and invalid. Our government must preclude this because it is an infringement of that person's rights. But as a society, as a member of our society, if I walk up to a young woman who is pregnant and I say, you can't have an abortion because that's wrong. Once again, I'm half right. The other half is, and I as your neighbor would like to know how I can help you to go through this tough time. How can I as your neighbor, how can I as your friend, as a member of your community, as a member of your church, as a guy who bumped into you in the grocery store, how can I help you to uphold your responsibility to this child? That's where it breaks down for many people. You see, we have lots of people who want to declare that every single woman has an inviolable right to terminate her pregnancy, as they would say, or as I would say, to kill her child. And then there are people who say that no one has that right at all, ever, for any reason, and I would be among them. But then you have to go on beyond that, and you have to say, how can I help you with this? I understand this seems to you like it's too big of a burden to bear, like it's unfair to you. And perhaps it is. There are situations in which it is completely unfair. But how can I help? And that's what we as a society owe to our neighbors when our government is upholding the right to life of that child. That pretty much encapsulates my thoughts on abortion. I have a lot more, and if you'd like to ask questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you very much.